I'm not wrong about what I just described, though.
You're absolutely right. I was reading cool things and making out with bald girls. Welcome to the show, everybody. How you doing?
Oh, so Matt Taibbi wrote all those articles, and then was like around Rolling Stone for a while, and like then it turned out in like 2000 and like around Me Too, it turned out he like wrote all these really fucked up articles for this weird version of Vice that was in Moscow while he was a heroin addict. I think like it was like this whole
Oh,
like you were like what happened. And it was one of those things where it's like, why did they fire him from Rolling Stone? Like, this is like I'm based on a half memory, and I've smoked some weed, but it was like, what were the articles that he wrote that were so bad? And you read them, and you're like, oh, I see how this was indefensible.
and he was walking around thinking he was Hunter S. Thompson on drugs and working for like a cool outlet, and he was in the shit. And it's like, nah, dude, you
Completely.
just
And
suck.
let's all be clear, Hunter S. Thompson, he was fine, but like if you look at all of his work, his best work was when he was just a like an article writer for Rolling Stone.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
collected works
his
of Hunter
essays
S.
were always
Thompson
like,
on Rolling Stone.
you know what though, his stuff after 9/11 was really interesting. That was when like he like caught another wind because there was
Yeah,
like
he really
something
did.
real to be worried about in American culture, and he was like he kind of nailed that shit. If you get a chance, like you read a couple of his essays, as I'm talking to listeners right now because I'm sure John has, but check out his
I
stuff from 9/11
sadly
because
have.
it was very prescient and it was like vicious and angry and beautiful.
Strap in, everyone, for this paragraph. In many ways, Gore Vidal filled in the role that you would think Hunter S. Thompson would take, and Hunter S. Thompson took the role Gore Vidal would traditionally take, in that Hunter S. Thompson was pro-America. This was just happened because the world is chaos, and Osama bin Laden was lucky. God damn it, we got to get rid of this fucking Bush guy. God damn it. And Gore Vidal was like, I think it was an inside job, also a bunch of other chicanery. And you're like, no, Gore, no Gore. Bad.
Now who's pretentious? Gore Vidal references. Come on, look at
Oh,
you.
me. Who doesn't
Look at
love Gore
this.
Vidal? I fucking love Gore Vidal. Talk about one of the worst fiction writers, best essay writers ever. Just gay and self-loathing, the most self-loathing gay man in the world. Lived with a
What,
man for 40 years, never admitted that they slept together. Is it a sexual relationship? No. And you can just see like the guy next to him, what he would do after dinner was just sing to the guests. And you can just see in this guy's eyes being like, what do you think is sex, big boy? You know what I mean?
Gore Vidal, there's a great documentary about him and the Buckley back and
Oh
forth.
yeah, best of enemies. It
Yeah,
fucking rules.
yeah. That was and that
William
was
Buckley.
I watched 30 seconds of parliamentary bickering the other day, and I turned it off as soon as Pierre Polivar's smug face came up, and just
Canadian.
because it wasn't even how much like I disagree with everything he says. It was he had this look that I remember from like shitty kids in high school of just like I'm cool and I'm funny, and it's like no one likes you, no one likes you, and I just had to turn it off for like pure rage out of that. But
The
they were the
problem,
best version of that. They were the best version of
yes,
political bickering.
I'm gonna literally explain this so this is universal for everyone, which is Canadian politics right now is the worst of millennial culture. It's a nepo baby versus a confident dick nerd. Oh,
Yeah,
and an impotent do-gooder. That's the problem. Fucking Jugmeat Singh. I
you hit
really
Jug
like
real
that
hard
man.
then.
For me?
You hit Jug real
Oh,
hard. Jug meets.
in the bin, Jug, meat, sing. Oh my
Yeah, he's
god,
tough.
just
I agree
fucking,
with him on so many things, but
but
I'm
he
just
just
like
fucked it.
you.
He fucked it. Come on, bud.
He reminds me of like an early Corbyn or like a Sanders thing where it's like you're a great backbencher and you would make a great like member of a cabinet because you have like cool ideas and but you're
Yeah,
not
you have
like a leader, you're not able to like rally the people, and so you gotta take that back seat. You gotta be the
it's very
power
much
behind. You gotta be a liberal Dick Cheney.
yeah, it's like how Gordon Brown is the only man angry enough to have saved the world's economy and no one remembers and no one thanks him.
Yeah, but he could do it though. He was able to like marshal all the ministers and
God
stuff and
damn it.
just be like, "We are
I
doing this." And
so
you
what
kind of
this
you
is
need that like forcefulness, and we don't have someone like that on the left right now.
as a Canadian person with mostly Scottish blood, that's why Scotland is a number one best country in the world. You're welcome, everyone. Who saved the economy? A one-eyed Scottish man who's probably screaming at someone throughout all of it.
Oh, I want to while we
Go
talk
ahead.
about Scotland, this is just a quick aside, but I want to say congratulations to Kimmers because she is killing it in a fitness way, and also Baldy. They're in my Fitstiffers on my Discord, and they're both.
Yeah.
Kimmers is doing a lot of like big lifting, and she's getting really strong, and she's feeling good. I want to say congratulations to both of you. It's nice to see.
I've been also getting going to the bench so I can get hench. You know what doesn't
Nice.
lie, Chris? Chris, you know what doesn't lie?
What?
The steel.
Oh, steel deals in real.
Speaking of steel, where Ashley is she is an immersive showing of the Shaquille O'Neal movie Steel in Belfast.
Yeah.
Is that where she is? Yeah.
Yeah, because it was actually Steel was an allegory for the Troubles. A lot of people don't know that.
And it's not. It's you'd be surprised how many movies are allegories for the Troubles. Princess Bride,
100%. Yeah.
Braveheart.
Yeah. Kingpin, the bowling movie with Woody Harrelson.
Correct. The WCW pay-per-view NWO Sold Out from 1997. That was about the Troubles in an allegory way.
Operation Dumbo Drop, where they had to bring an elephant out into the jungle. Yeah.
But that one was pro. That one was very pro. Oh god damn it! I couldn't remember the other guy's name. Not Jerry Adams. Who's the guy on the other side? Oh, I can see his face. He's the ugliest. He's the ugliest type of Irishman you've ever seen in your life. Oh, what's his?
Eamon De Valera?
No, but yeah, good guess. Oh no, who was the one at the end? Because there was Jerry Adams and fucking the other guy McGinnis, whose name I can never remember. That was on the one side.
Yeah,
and then the other side. Oh, and they ride in the car together. Fuck me and me.
I can't remember. I can't. Someone's yelling at the episode right now. Someone is yelling at the episode.
They're all yelling at the. It's this you. It's a sensation that we didn't know about, which was podcast hosts not knowing something, and just you screaming the answer.
Yeah.
The most frustrating version is there was an episode of Ari Shaffir and Bert Kreischer on a podcast.
Oh my god.
Where they don't know who the vice president is, and it was Joe Biden. It was like 2015, and they were like, "Have we had another election?" It was a nightmare.
I've been having it with the. I'm still doing the New York Times crossword most days, and I used to do it on my stream every morning, and the chat really helped me out. And there are some that I still read, and I'm like, Baldy would know this. Like, there's one I would be getting. David Hoare would jump in with something. It's just like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I feel so dumb, and I know my friends know this, but
what happened?
This is staying blank. This should stay blank.
What about that old man that would show up every once in a while?
Oh yeah, puzzle something. He was fucking amazing. He would just show up, rip through the whole puzzle, and then be like, "This was really fun. Thanks, guys. Bye." Just very sweet man.
Wild.
I forgot about him.
That feels like a million years ago and yesterday.
That was 18 months ago.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, because I think I stopped doing it in London. So.
No, it's more than 18 months ago.
20 months ago?
Yeah, it's way more than 18 months ago. You left August of 21, and it's March of 23.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. My goodness.
It's way more than 18 months. Do you know how many times you've moved, Chris? How many times you've said you're going to quit smoking?
I only said that right before I left, and then since then I did quit for a bit, but then my dad got arrested, and it was a whole thing.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Well, he's had some run-ins. One was, I think this was the drunk driving one, where God, I went away for a weekend, and everything was like looking fine. And I was like, I can take a little trip and I'll go see my friends. And I was gone for 2 days. And on the day I left, he got a DUI, lost his car and his license for a few days. And then and I came back and I was feeling good. I hadn't had a cigarette in like 10 days or 2 weeks or something. And I wasn't thinking about him. Like I was just like living my life. And I made it one day with him just pacing around. And I was like, no, this is too stressful. And I just jumped back in, and it's been on ever since.
Here's my question. How does he drop the, oh, by the way, I got a DUI?
Didn't tell me. His friend told me.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Also, how do you get home?
They dropped him off.
What do you mean they dropped him off?
They dropped him off. Or they
Most
called a
people
taxi
get-
for him. It's tough to tell because he doesn't remember, so he can't tell you the full story. But yeah, he will have gotten a ride somehow. It's his address is on his license, so they will have done it that way. But yeah, no, he
I'm just saying, old people privilege. Listen, I have been lucky enough to know a lot of people that have been arrested for drunk driving. Please do not treat me any different, even though I'm clearly now you're better. And they all immediately get taken to jail. There's none of this. Well, so long, sir. Like literally, they're like, well, we'll take your car, but clearly this is a stressful thing for you, so you need to head home and have a couple more drinks. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think I described Sydney before, but it's an open air retirement community, and so like the cops are just used to dealing with people whose memory isn't very good, and there's this sort of like my dad's very charming, and he was at like the lowest because I read the ticket that they gave him, and there's tiers for it, and he was in the lowest tier, like he'd had like 2 pints or something, and so it's like he wasn't like hammered or anything. My guess is what he did is he wasn't swerving around the streets. He just forgot where he lived because where he got picked up is the wrong direction from his house. And I know what pub he was drinking in by where he got picked up. And he took a right instead of a left. And then he turned on off an exit on the highway. And they were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Because he was making weird choices. They pulled him over, breathalyzed him, but he was like just confused. So they sent him home.
Of course, classic. Oh God.
Yeah.
Is it like an officially an open air retirement community like the Villages in Florida, or is it like just sort of like that's the vibe, bro?
It's just the town. It's 4 old people. Young rich people are moving in now, which is like an odd dynamic to the town. It's giving it more life, which is nice. But
that's not gonna last though. Something's gonna give.
Oh, the
One
old
side
people
has to win.
the old people will die, and new old people can't afford to move there. So it will shift just naturally in terms of demographics.
That's good. Your dad owns or rents?
He owns. He got in just before the big boom. So
yeah.
He got he got lonely during COVID, and his friend lives in Sydney, so he was like, "I'm moving," and we were like, "Please don't sell your place. Things are about to go nuts. Just hold on to it, rent it. We'll take care of the rental. You don't have to do anything." And he went, "No," and sold it, and he missed out on a lot of money by selling his old place, but his new place is doing okay. So, but yeah, he got in like just in time because like the places around him are now selling for like double what he paid for it.
That's insane.
It's fucking stupid, man. He bought it in 2020, and like double in 2.5 years is nuts. That's not how the world is supposed to work.
What is crazy is it's still no one was better at real estate than my goddamn grandfather. Holy shit, was that man basically like he'd put his ear on a rock and be like, "Buy this now." Like,
yeah.
Why? I said, "Do it." Like,
I mean, there's some things that are easy to tell. It's like, is it predominantly gay in this neighborhood? Buy.
I don't want
to. All artists in this neighborhood?
Buy. Right now? No, wrong on artists. You were 100% wrong on artists. There are 2 things you want to look for: gays, Jews, not Hasidic Jews. Although Hasidic Jews are also good.
Hasidic Jews are a really good sign.
Gays and Jews in that combination, bet the fucking farm. Those are 2 communities that like bet in, they improve, and they are also not afraid to call the authorities and really go into detail about the complaint they're making. Yeah, I have a couple of things I'd actually like to say now that I have you here, officer. Noise complaint, Unit 505. I'd also like to, and you also don't know which one I'm doing an impression of. That's how fucking good this point is. By the way, you're looking at 2 people that lived in Haringey that was scrubbed clean by the Jewish community. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Mile End as well. Mile End was like that. West End of Vancouver was like that. Although that was gays, that wasn't Hasids. And they're all just Toronto insanely expensive now.
Toronto's the exception where you have to sub out Jews for Portuguese.
Okay, that's interesting.
If there's suddenly a bunch of places that make
it's people that build a community and make things like nice and invest in it, and then it's like they get in when it's cheap, and then when it's less cheap but nice, that's when people know to buy. Just in case anybody here listening isn't forever poor in the way that we are, and everyone is, do that. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? We're all constantly losing money. God damn it.
Yeah. Yay.
It's mostly just, here's the thing with being a stand-up comedian who mostly does comedy festivals these days. There's so many, like, I was just looking at my accounts. It's like there's so many months where there's no money coming in. Like I basically I get paid like some sort of like ransom demander. Like it just gets dropped into my account, but I'm like,
you're like a Somali pirate.
That's exactly what I feel like. Like I feel like some sort of smuggler. I just need to get a couple of shipments over customs.
It's very funny to have like to be working hours and not be working on tips and just know how much money I'm going to get. Like for the first time in a really long time, I got paid on Friday, and for the first time in I don't remember how long, I just looked at my hours. I was like, this is what my check will be for. And I was right. And like I had yesterday and today off. Like yesterday I just slept. I went out Friday with my buddy Mike, who's a pilot. He happened to be in town. We got some cocktails and we had a lovely time. And then he flies he's the one that flies a private jet. So he just shows up. He's the one that I saw in Mexico. I don't know if you remember that, but like my buddy just showed up in Mexico. He's in Puerto Vallarta, so I stayed at his all-inclusive for my last night in Mexico. And
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, it's like he just so it was like I was in whatever the name of the town I was in is called, and I was getting bored, and I was talking to my buddy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Mexico," and I was like, "Where?" And he goes, "Puerto Vallarta." I was like, "Fuck, that's like an hour away. Come visit me." And then he's like, "I'm not gonna have time to visit me, but come stay with me for the night, and we'll have a time." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving the next day. It's closer to the airport, and I'm gonna get to see my friend." So we went out. We had a grand old time in the gay part of Puerto Vallarta, which rules, and everyone should check out. And then we headed out. So yeah, he just shows up, and like he used to come to London all the time, and I'd see him there. And he's the friend from back home that I see the most because he just shows up wherever I'm at, which is like a lovely thing to have.
It's really annoying because my friends who were always based around Toronto and Ottawa are now finally moving all over Canada. So see you in hell, guys. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Yeah, just like people going to Fredericton and Sault Ste. Marie, and it's like there's talk of Quebec City. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Like, never happening.
Never gonna see you again. Never gonna see you again.
We'll have to end up making some trips too. Like, it's the problem is it's too close to France. It's just like, oh my god. You also forget like how far LA is from things. Ugh, nightmare.
Yeah, it's nice that all my old friends, bar one, live in my old hometown.
Is that his nickname?
Yeah, bar one. He's my friend Mitchell. He's in Dallas now. He when we met and we became friends, we were both like punk fans, and I dressed like kind of like quasi skater with like heavy metal t-shirts, and he was full skid.
Yo, like what a Canadian
white face.
What a Canadian phrase. Only in Canada did they use this phrase.
Is that really just Canadians?
Just Canadian.
Oh, that's funny. How do you describe a skid? What's your definition?
It's kind of like kind of a gutter punk, but kind of not. Like, I was called it a lot. Like it's kind of like a derogatory term for alternative.
Yeah, it was like a lot of like military jackets, and they all had like black hair and leather wraps, like whether it's a necklace or a bracelet or something. They all wore Vans or some other version of it before Vans were cool.
I do not think they were wearing Vans. I don't remember seeing Vans as a brand in 1997. You're out of your mind.
In the West Coast. In the West Coast, they were all wearing it. And it was that and Doc Martens. It was one of the two.
You were getting Doc Martens at that age? You're out of your mind. You're out of your tree. You're drinking.
I wasn't. My punk friends were, though. They were all in Docs.
No.
Yeah, man. Those were the shoes of the non-conformists. They all dressed the same, but don't talk to them about it. They get very annoyed.
I'm gonna tell you right now, our fucking alt people did not have the money that your alt people had. Our alt people were genuinely terrifying. There wasn't any fashion involved.
Well, Docs, none of this stuff was like, it wasn't expensive then because no one was buying it. It's like how thrift stuff used to be cheap. It was so like
crazy.
It wasn't cool. So like the prices were really cheap because no one wanted to fucking dress like this. and now like everyone does. So it's a new day. Where should I
Oh my
sit?
god, your thrift store fucking point fixed a fucking stupid show. Thank you, Chris. Oh yeah.
I
have a
got
joke about,
oh yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
go on.
I was gonna
No,
say I have
go
a joke
on.
about reclaiming being an elder millennial.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's just like that's right. I'm of that thing. And just talking about the various things that like what are our nostalgias for being an like an old person to a younger generation. Back in our
Mm,
days, podcasts didn't have ads. You
yeah.
couldn't used to be able to write on things. Yeah. Not every
Yeah.
social
What's
media
this?
had the ability to call. You didn't used to be able to make calls on Instagram.
Can you call on Instagram now?
Yeah.
Way to go, guys. They did it. They did it. I do so many more calls on Facebook Messenger than I do on anything else now. And I hate it, but it's because Canadians won't use WhatsApp. And I hate them for that.
I hate the
Um,
Canadians won't use WhatsApp. It doesn't make any sense why they won't use WhatsApp. I don't understand how it hasn't penetrated North America. It's insane. Because in the UK, it is
it's ubiquitous.
phenomenal.
Everyone uses it. It's so much better. I was just listening to Chris DiStefano on Two Bears. So he was replacing Bert Kreischer. And him and Tom Segura were talking about like being off of social media completely, like just hiring someone. DiStefano said that he gave his passwords to someone on his team and he doesn't even have them. Like he can't log in. He writes tweets and emails them to people and makes videos and sends them over. And he's like, my life's never been better. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And I thought about deleting my apps, and then I realized like no one would be able to contact me because everyone in Canadian comedy talks on
This is the
Facebook
problem.
Messenger or Instagram, and I need to be able to answer those messages. And
Yeah,
so
the amount of comedy clubs I know that are based off of their avail system on Instagram Instant Message, you're fucked.
can I say that there's something that I've noticed about Canadian comedy that makes it inherently unprofessional to me, which is A, they all contact through social media, which is ridiculous. But
Go
B,
ahead.
when they send the messages about the shows, it's just the names and like a loose start time. No idea of how long you're doing, no idea of a running order. There's zero details. It's the same as organizing a house party. Be here like about 8 and we'll do it.
So different than when I was. I remember in Toronto when I was there, everyone was so fucking anal about you being there half an hour before a show started. So then when I was like running around doing other sets, there was always like, I don't know, man, if you're gonna make it. And it's like, I'm not waiting around Poor Boys Pub on a Sunday,
Yeah.
you fuck.
That's changed. I went to I was trying to pick up spots before my JFL showcase, and I went to the corner to see if I could jump on because I knew the whole lineup. They were like all old friends of mine. And I was like, these guys, I don't really know the guy that runs corner, but these guys will vouch for me, so I might be able to jump on. And I got there half an hour early because, professionalness. And I was talking to the guy, and he was like, I was talking to the guy on the door, and I was like, are any of the comics here? And he's like, no, man, no. And I was like, it's half an hour before the show. When do they show up? He's like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes before the show. I was like, this town has lost all semblance of taking this seriously. This is now a hobby for everybody. This is nuts.
I still show up for like doing a festival show for an hour. I'm there like an hour before writing out the set list. For a club set at this point, I am strolling in 10 minutes before I'm coming on stage. I got news for you.
But even the venue didn't seem worried about it. Like they were just like, yeah, no, nobody shows up.
Like this. I have rarely missed a spot. If I have missed a spot, it's because I have totally forgotten about it, not because I've been late. I will be there.
Yeah.
I have never missed a spot, and I have blatantly taken risks with geography. Like done shocking things.
And I understand that, like I've done that. You especially if you're doing multiple sets, then you show up when you show up and you get your timings as tight as possible. But like for the whole city, just to be like, I don't know, whatever, like as a rule, is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I like it.
It's wild. I think I'll get into the rhythm of it, I guess. But for right now, I'm just like. Also, I sent you messages from the JFL showcase that I watched.
You certainly did.
And and I think because I'm sort of like disappointed in the quality out here, then that's also adding to my like now I'm looking at other things and I'm like bums.
I think it's also you've been getting some bad batches.
Yeah, that's
Because we were
possible.
talking on the phone and you were like, I go into a lot of open mics, and then you're like, I don't like these
No,
Canadian
I'm
comedians
going to
are
start doing
bad.
open mics. No, you're misremembering. I'm
Oh.
going to start doing open mics, but I've been going to pro shows.
Oh, well, that's different. Also, I
Yeah,
have been ripping farts. It's been very satisfying. Like
nice.
loud asshole Trumpies. I'm doing the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. I sort of forgot that this festival is going to be hard in different ways than like Edinburgh was. I thought it would be a cakewalk because I've always
Mm,
done like sporadic solo shows, which is great. So you get this concentration of people that only want to come, as
that's right.
opposed
Because
to like the
you,
doldrums of a Sunday, all that sort of stuff.
yeah, to give the listeners some context, John would go over with a package show where everything was pre-organized and you didn't have to do any promo. You could just sort of run around and be a silly boy. And then once or twice a month, you would do an hour show, and it would pack out. But this
It
year,
was
you're
way more than
doing
that.
the
It
whole
would,
thing.
yeah, it would be like between like 3 to 12 times in the festival, as opposed to every day.
Hmm.
And like you're way taken care of and stuff like that. It's just more a struggle for certain things, and also just like sometimes audiences just stare at you at these sort of festivals. And it was one of those crowds with a woman who wouldn't like who filmed me off the top, which was so uncomfortable and weird.
Why?
And
Why
then
off the top?
I want to have it. And I was like, what? And it was like one of those things where like I tried to even do crowd work.
That's
And
such
I
a
was like,
drunk person thing to say. I wanna have it.
it was
I
so
wanna
weird.
have it.
There was something else going on that I don't know what it was,
Hmm.
but something was up. And then like two drunk ass ladies popped in, and they were just so unfun. Like a
Yeah.
lot of like, oh, you think, yeah? Oh, do you think you're crazy? Oh, you have a crazy friend, Michelle, and you're like,
Ugh.
I hope Michelle gets struck by lightning and I'm there. Like it's just like fuck you,
It's
Michelle.
you know something that bothers me about doing what annoys me when I meet those people is like I think of a house party when I meet those people or like a bar situation,
Phenomenal.
and you get caught with them, and all you're looking for is someone to pass them off to. That's you just wait, and then you grab someone, you go, oh hey, what's going on, oh this, and then you start a conversation between them, and then you just leave. And you just it's like that what was the, I think it's It Follows, that horror movie where the ghost is passed on by an STD.
I've
And
never seen this. What a fucking terrifyingly hilarious fucking, oh my god, how much cocaine was done to come up with that idea? It's
it's what
herpes, but it's the ghost.
the movie starts with, like I think it's like a girl is like tied to a chair, and she would like wakes up, and the guy goes, listen, I'm really sorry, but this is what's about to happen to you, and I needed to pass it on. And this ghost just moves real, or like demon or whatever, moves real slow, never runs. It's not a 28 days later zombie, just moves real slow to wherever you are. And you just got to keep moving. And the only way you can get rid of it is by fucking someone and passing that shit along. And
Hilarious.
so he explains it, and then he points at the thing. He goes, there it is. And then he sets her free, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Good luck. Bye. And the movies are trying to like get rid of it. And that's how I feel about those people at the party, is just like, I need to pass this on to someone else. There's no stopping this, but I
Here's what I
refuse
would
to be
do.
responsible for it.
Here's the
But
problem
you
with this
can't do
premise.
that in stand up because you're on stage.
Here's also how I would fix the premise of that movie: is if I got that ghost, I'd head immediately to a cancer ward of a hospital.
Mm.
And I would be like, who let me, and I would explain the situation. I'd be like, who here is very close to death and would like to try something crazy?
Mm. You want to see a ghost?
Yeah.
Who
Like
wants to see a
you
ghost?
gotta get,
Who wants to die of something other than cancer?
this is the thing. Like, yeah. Who wants to leave their family with a lasting, terrifying memory? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
let's get great. Like, why? Like, that's that problem with that movie is like, and also, like, it's such a dick that he was like, oh, I'm going to inflict this on a living person, as opposed to it's like, let me go to. This is the human race. We have so many places where people are about to die.
That's a point. I wonder if anyone that had it in the universe of It Follows ever tried to fuck a corpse just to see if the ghost would just like disappear.
Yeah, it just Also, horror movies have really taken a turn. I call it the orphaning. In when like horror movies went from like kind of like cheap ridiculous where it's like they're at a summer camp and one of them is a chainsaw. And now every poster is like darkened eyes, and it's like the most terrifying story ever. If you shake hands with someone, your entire family gets cancer and you watch them die. And there's nothing you can do because of the Reverend.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what the fuck happened?
there's one that came out that's coming out, I think, real soon is very silly to me, just title alone, and it's called The Pope's Exorcist. And
Ooh.
I want you to guess
I
who.
would rather
Very
watch the
famous,
Pope's Rabbi.
very famous actor. Was more
French
famous in the early
Stewart.
2000s. Who do you think
Stewart.
plays the Exorcist? French Stewart?
French Stewart.
No, absolutely hilarious choice. That would be incredible. Action
French
guy,
Stewart.
action movie guy.
Topher Grace.
He does not. He reluctantly played Spider-Man, and I'll never forgive him for that.
He played Venom, you piece of shit.
Did he? Oh yeah. Who is Tobey Maguire's? Who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I watched
What a
Venom,
genius,
the Carnage one. One of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I mean, did you watch the original Venom one?
I did, yeah, and that was bad, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. And I think because
it was very watchable. It was a really watchable piece of shit. Like it was just Tom Hardy is the least likable man I've ever met in my entire life. When I found out like he is descendant from like the guy who looked at the globe and then looked at the king and went, an empire. Like that's like, and you
Really?
just see it in Tom. Yeah, I think like Tom Hardy is like that level of like posh in England where you're like, what now? And it's like, oh yeah, like Versailles was my great granddad's idea, and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ. I listened. You're still watching Behind the? Oh no, you don't like Behind the Bastards. They did Coco Chanel. This week.
Famous Nazi sympathizer.
Oh my god. But they also go way into like the British aristocracy's ties to the Nazis.
They loved the Nazis. They loved them some Nazis.
They made a great logical point too, which is that to them, the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia was particularly scary because, like, they're like, "Wait, who got killed?" And they were like, "Wait, us?"
Yeah,
and because they were anti-Semitic and they couldn't fathom that like peasants did it, they were like, must have been a Jewish conspiracy. And then the Nazis were like, hey, you guys seem like you hate left-wing politics and Jews. And they were like, you had us at Jews.
Yeah. Well, that was the end of my sentence. Shut up.
Yeah. I'd say kiss me, but we also hate those people. You know what I'm saying? Hey, even though a lot of us are. Come on. Welcome to British posh people. You about it? Double-breasted suits.
Yeah, I this morning I don't know why it came up. I think I was listening to Fever Dreams, and I was thinking a lot about how many Nazis showed up to right-wing protests. Like there was that like the anti-trans one in New Zealand recently. A bunch of Nazis showed up and were throwing their hands around, and all the TERFs were like, yay! Like just letting you go like, how do you justify? How do you not kick the shit out of the Nazis that show up to your rally? And it was the same with the anti-vax stuff in Canada. Like we had Nazis showing up to that. And how do they not get a kicking? That's like a classic. Am I like just listening to too much old punk? But like a Nazi shows up and you beat their ass as a group.
Yeah. Well, we met a Nazi and we didn't beat his ass. That's
true. He had just bribed us though.
He certainly did, and you weren't going to drink it, and I opened it. I stand by that. I stand by it completely. It's not so much a bribe. Like it was more that we read the situation and went, sometimes passive resistance is totally fine. Let me put it this way. I wouldn't necessarily beat a Nazi's ass, but if I had a protest and the Nazis showed up and were like, we're here to back you up, and I'd be like, you guys get the fuck out of here. I can literally be like, could someone please write a sign that says they're not with us? Like you have to distance yourself from the Nazis.
I mean, and you're here to protest anyway. Why not protest the Nazis that showed up? You're already in protest mode. Just be against one other thing that's super easy to be against. Guess what's going to make your cause look better? Telling Nazis to go fuck themselves.
I'm not trying to do my show here, but back in my day, you could just call someone a Nazi and no one would go, "Hey," you know what I mean? Everyone would just go,
Mhm.
"Yeah, probably a Nazi." Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't throw it around. That's the thing. Actually, you know what? That's not true. We did, and we were never wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're not wrong now. We're not wrong
No.
now. No.
I do miss calling people grammar Nazis, etc., etc. That was very fun, and also really toned down the grammar correction, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. I mean,
You know which one they mean when it's there, or there. You know which
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You really need
But get it right, unless you're dyslexic, get it right.
reader's privilege. No,
Put
I
some effort
disagree.
in.
It's writer's privilege.
If you got some of the jumbled letter problems, fair dues. But if you're an adult,
That's what
there
I
you
think
go.
of what you just said.
That's what I think of the lack of attention to communication. It's all we have, guys. It's what connects our inner to our outer.
We have so much more. My asshole connects to your outer. How about that, asshole? Listen to me. We have 9 minutes left, and with 9 minutes left, I just want to say this. Welcome, podcast listeners, to the Untitled Twitch stream. Let's start the show. We haven't.
How did we get 36 minutes already? Jesus Christ.
Oh no, the Canadians are coming.
Chris, John, and Irish Ashley combine to make the ultimate team, better than any wet dream. Welcome to the Untitled Twitch stream. John's the CEO and Boomer. Ashley's the real leader. Chris brings the vibes and juices as our enjoyment increases. Welcome to the Untitled Twitch stream.
Hi, everyone. With the Untitled Twitch stream. I'm John Hastings. That's Chris Best. That's Lee Madison's. She's at Easter Island. She's seeing those heads.
Yeah, she's trying to figure out if all the heads have big fat butts underneath the ground. She's writing a postdoctoral on it.
I love that they just dug those heads up and they're like, yeah, they're just statues. I was like, that makes me so fucking happy.
Did I go in? This was a while ago, but I just got all my books back. Not all of them, but all the ones that I had in Toronto, which feels so nice. And I forgot that I had one called Aku Aku, which is about people that went to Easter Island to just learn about it. And in the history of it,
I hate them and I hate you.
He talks about this thing that happened where the first I think they were Portuguese, European recorded contact with the Easter Island people. They showed up and there was 12 people, and the Portuguese were pretty chill with the Easter Islanders. They were like, "Hey, what's going on?" They just met, exchanged a couple things, bounced. Very pleasant experience. And so next, so this was written about, and then I think the English showed up maybe 70 years later, and all of a sudden there were hundreds of these fucking people on the island, and the British went dope and took a bunch of them and killed a bunch of other ones because they're British. And then about 80 years later, maybe French, maybe Spaniards showed up, and 12 fucking people. And what it turns out is they had this Viet Cong level underground civilization where it was all tunnels and rooms, and the entrances were all blocked off, so you couldn't find them if you didn't know where they were. And so it was the first time, suspicious. Met these Portuguese guys, sent out 12 people. Everyone else is underground, just waiting to see what happens. The people come back, they go, those dudes are actually pretty dope. Boat people rule, it turns out. They came back, the English, fucked it for everybody, and took a bunch of them, and they were like, never again. And so then the next boat came, 12 guys again. But now they were exploring all the stuff, and it's the underground civilization level is remarkable. And I love that not only did they build these big heads, but they were like, we don't want to live around these ugly heads. Let's go underground. Let's go deep.
What I like is, of course, the English fucked it. Of course.
Of course.
Of course the Portuguese show up. Yeah. The Portuguese is not the corgi. Portugal is the Labrador of Europe. It improves all situations.
No, they had a pretty vicious colonial history.
Oh, come on, Chris. We're talking only in where is Easter Island exactly? I always get confused.
It's midway. It's just in the middle of nowhere on the way to the Americas.
Yeah, okay, that's right. That's where I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about North America. We're talking only everyone's record in the ocean, and the Portuguese were the best when they were on the ocean.
I
said-
feel like you have no evidence to back that up, and it's just a feeling because you like custard
Correct.
and chicken. But,
And statues. They also had some excellent statues in Lisbon.
oh, are they Portuguese statues though, John?
Yeah, they looked pretty homegrown. They were attached to churches. Like it felt like vibe. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It didn't have a British Museum vibe.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like in that same way that whenever you're in like Switzerland or Sweden, you can really tell like, oh, you guys did this part yourself because it's so very done by you. Like you know how certain countries like certain things like only you guys would do this.
I had that feeling in Vienna when I was out there doing shows, and I looked around and I was like, this lives here. There's a lot of naked kids pissing into fountains made of marble.
I wish I'd gone to Vienna or Salzburg. Oh,
yeah, I did both. Yeah, very cool. Very cool cities.
What did you do in Salzburg?
Stand up. I told the jokes.
Who brought you to Salzburg?
I can't remember his name right now. I can see him. I remember him because he was really annoyed that he promised me a hotel and then I wanted a hotel. So he promised it to me. I got to Austria, and he picked me up at the airport, brought me to his apartment, and then we were hanging out. It's like his wife and his kid, and it was all very nice. And he's like, maybe I won't get a hotel tonight. You can just sleep on our couch. And I was like, no, man, I want that hotel. That was part of the deal. And then he gave me a hotel that was so far from town. I could see the horizon. Do you know how far out of a major city you have to be to see the horizon?
I hate how much comedians in Britain like to party for a certain period of time because the amount of promoters that then would be like, I usually just get fucked up with the comedian. And you're like, I don't want to do that, man. It sounds really sad and weird.
Yeah, and you're not fun.
Yeah, you're the least fun human being that's ever existed.
It's like when I went to Estonia, like the guy that booked it was like, he was nice enough. He was kind of odd, but he was nice. But he wasn't fun. But the comics that were like my guides, I guess, that had taken it upon themselves to be like, Chris is coming from the UK. It was nice. They'd watched my videos. They were like, they liked my work. So they were excited that I was coming. And then they were just like, we'll take care of Chris. Don't worry about it. And I was so glad they did because they were really fun. And we had a fucking blast. But they were comics. They weren't promoters. They were.
Oh my god, I never will forget when I figured out one of the people that was the promoter for the Estonia gigs. He was talking about. He was like, "Oh, I just came back from my girlfriend's graduation." I was like, "University?" And he was like, "Nope." And I was like, "Oh God, oh Jesus, Mother of God."
Was that good-looking guy?
No, I wouldn't say he was good looking.
Oh, then that's a different guy. I was working because this guy was like canonically handsome.
No, like 100% not.
Oh, okay, different guy. Very different guy. Yeah,
because there was two. There was like the original guys, and then there was the other original guys. Because basically, a bunch of guys started bringing stand-ups to Estonia, and one guy then kind of just took it over and did all the work, and then the other ones started splinter factions to compete. Fascinating situation.
That sounds right. Yeah. It was. I loved it there. I can't wait to go back. I
don't think they bring in English people anymore because they.
Yeah, they don't have to. They're making enough money, but I think you can still you can make it work. Like they'll make a call for you. They might not organize the whole thing like they did, but they can help you out with a couple things.
That is not how I understood it. But if I'm wrong, let me know.
Did you see this study that came out that Americans, the longest living Americans, live less than people in Blackpool?
Go ahead. That's so funny.
Yeah, that came. And what I loved about it, so yeah, they were charting average lifespan, and they were like across all earnings, every income in the UK or in the States, the average life expectancy is similar or lower to that of Blackpool, which is the lowest in the UK. And the whole thing, it was supposed to be a dunk on the States, but it just felt like they were really, really shitting on Blackpool with it. They just like,
that's good.
And you believe fucking Blackpool? Ugh, it was so silly.
I would wonder how that's possible though, because I don't know. Although America has a shitload of people, and the problem is so many parts of it just do not have healthcare coverage. Like
But that's why
California,
it was across income levels though. So even like rich people.
yeah, but even to a certain point, like you can't exhaust all your money. Like that's the thing is, if you are before Obamacare, this is also anything before Obamacare. That like it's like, oh, you had cancer 20 years ago. Oh, that turns out to be a pre-existing condition for this cancer, so we're not insuring you for future cancer treatments. And you're like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah. So see you in hell. Like I paid
Yeah.
$7,000 for something that was like $100,000.
And it's not like $7,000's no money.
$7,000 is not, and this is very important to stress.
Yeah.
No money.
And I mean, $100,000, that's the rest of your life. You're paying this until you die of whatever it is that came of the thing they fixed. But
Incorrect. You're just
$7,000.
a little something called bankruptcy.
Yeah. But like
Which
that's
Which actually would have been hilarious because in the United States, as a green card holder, not legally allowed to declare bankruptcy. So what I would either have done to pay it off or leave the States, or the other thing is you write a letter of hardship to the hospital, because California at least is like moral and has not passed laws that make it so you have to pay. So California is one of the places where they fix you and then they bill you.
Okay.
There's a bunch of places where you have to prove you can pay first.
Yeah. And isn't there like the I've been reading a lot about just ask for an itemized bill whenever you go to a hospital in the States. Just be like, I just want an itemized bill. I just want everything to be laid out. And immediately your bill goes down by like 40%. Just for that. That's like, it's like bloatware on a computer. They just drop all the extra stuff all of a sudden, bill goes way down. And you're like, oh, cool.
They just give you an itemized bill.
Oh, okay. I mean, that might be part of your insurance thing, because a lot of these people are just like, yeah, I just got a bill that basically said health, $80,000. And they're like, no, I want all this broken down into how much the scan cost and how much those Q-tips cost me and all this stuff. And they're like, $50. Take the lead.
What's also crazy is it's also state to state. So like California is weirdly, I don't know, not better. Well, the thing is that because California is so big and is the breadbasket of the country, like there's a bunch of like social welfare they just have to do, because if it's like, well, if a bunch of these people don't show up to work, then there's no oranges. That's like the weird thing, like because there's certain like America thing. It's also that weird thing of America's economic recovery is so far ahead in some ways than the rest of the world, just because America just does not stop buying shit. Like just turn that like it is fucking nuts.
Buying stuff is fun. I got very tired the other day and looked up this brand that I really love. They have a t-shirt that just fits me really well, and there's never any logos on their shit. It's just like nice colors and a good fit and durable. They're called Only & Sons. I love them. And they're only really available in Europe, and the Bay was selling it for a while, but I don't think anyone bought it. So I just looked. I was like, I need some t-shirts. So I looked on the Bay website. Everything was clearance. So I bought like 3 t-shirts and a couple sweaters and all this. A shacket, which is like a shirt jacket.
It's a shirt jacket. It's basically, we finally are moving away from hoodies, and they've just made basically jackets that are as thick as
shirts that are as thick as jacket. But it's like black corduroy thing. I think it'll look cool. But they buying that, it was like I woke up the next morning and I was like, did I buy something last night? And I was so tired, I was delirious phase. And I checked and I was like, thank God it was good and on sale. Like buying stuff is very nice.
There was a time in the pandemic where you were buying some wild baseball gear.
Buddy, that jersey showed up with all my books. It was in my bag that Andrew Barr held on for me. And I pulled it out and I was like, man, what a silly purchase this was. What an absolutely ridiculous, I need some sort of dopamine hit I still don't remember. I was so drunk when I bought it.
Oh, well, we really did some wild shit in that pandemic, didn't we? And we'll talk about that on this week's next episode.
Wednesday's episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. We love you.
countdown joke there. I don't know if Chris can unmute himself. I don't think
You
he
love to
can.
see it. You love to see it.
No, it's good. I like the countdown. And before we, of course, sign off, we should, and this is important to stress, we got to go through, I'm going to go through one more clip. There's one more. It's an unsung hero.
It is. It's not coming.
What the hell?
That's so funny.
Old French. It's not even words that French people use anymore. It's all Quebec French. What was that? Did everyone see that? Like,
Has it been determined what that was?
She was daydreaming about someone whose teeth she wants to lick. I think because she wasn't specific. But she just got like the horn hard in just like a very swift moment, and it was visible to everybody. Imagine wearing your feelings quite that openly. That's a freedom that I may never know.
Is it free?
I mean, it's a kind of freedom. You then become a prisoner of the repercussions, but in the moment, very free.
I loved Prisoner of the Repercussions' first album.
Yeah, it was very early Smashing Pumpkins influenced, but they really took it to a new level.
Here's my question. Was Ashley actually thinking about someone that she had the horn for and she wanted to lick their teeth?
I don't know specifically wanted to lick their teeth, but I was just using that as a euphemism for more explicit sexual acts.
Yes. I gotta tell you, I would rather hear about explicit sexual acts. We're going to talk about this on the next thing. Because here's the thing. I'd rather hear about more explicit sexual acts than someone licking teeth. Like, oh, someone got a blowjob. What is this, Wednesday? Oh, someone was in here licking teeth. Well, we better call the police because someone has lost their mind. And I was literally like, what are you actually on about, Chris?
Have you ever licked someone's teeth before?
Goodbye.
That's all. Penis into her vagina. That's all. That's all.
Still live. Did not end a.
That's all. Penis into her vagina.